Hi, and thank you for joining us in our celebration of International Youth Day 2024. As you might know, Unity is Strength has won an International Youth Day award for a panel about inclusive digital education through cross-cultural discussions about peace, justice, and institutional accountability in Israel-Palestine, about how youth make this happen. And the theme of what we are talking about for International Youth Day is how youth help further the sustainable development goals using technology. Now, on Unity is Strength, youth have been instrumental to our organization from the very beginning. They have created and moderated about 40% of the posts to our forum. We right now have myself, as well as 3 youth who are current or former heavily involved moderators of Unity is Strength, some of whom have done a number of other activities for Unity is Strength. And we also have Emmanuel Shahaf, who's a former head of station of Southeast Asia in Israel. And so I'd like to thank them for participating in this panel discussion. And they can talk about their experiences with our online forum, our online communities, all our online communities, not just our online core forum, which is our main forum, but also all of our online communities, and what they've done and what they've experienced. We are helping to promote moderate views among the next generation on the Israel-Palestine issue that can eventually lead to peace and reconciliation. We're also promoting education of people in an open format, given that we have an online forum. We're also promoting gender equality because we have heavy female involvement. We're also promoting reduced inequality because we're promoting an equitable solution to Israel-Palestine. So we work to build bridges among people of all different religions and cultures so that they can discuss some of the most contentious topics across the party line. And so I would like to thank you for coming on. So now we're going to have the youth discussants begin and introduce themselves. So who wants to go first? How about Alper, you go first.
Hey, why not? I'd give it a go. I don't see any reason not to. So, hi everyone. My name is Dylan, or Alper if you prefer, although I don't really prefer to disclose my real name, since I was doxxed on Quora for using it while I was a moderator at Unity is Strength, and I was repeatedly threatened to a lesser extent in Unity is Strength, to a much greater extent by Turkish nationalists, although that's a story for another time. So we will be keeping that part separate from this call so I don't run into a can of worms later on down the line for that. I was deeply involved with Unity is Strength on Quora itself from about 2020 up until 2022. Honestly, I'm sad to say that one of the main reasons I'm not involved anymore is the increased presence of extremists on Quora on all, sides of it. I've seen a lot of neo-Nazi stuff in my feed when I'm just scrolling, for example. I find that... Wait, Rebecca, were you saying something? Guess not. I found that there's a significant increase of neo-Nazi content just when I'm scrolling in my general feed, not to mention the extremely vitriolic battles that have been happening in Unity. But when I was there, one thing that I particularly noticed in terms of the dialogue that people were getting going is that people, regardless of how extreme their viewpoints might have been at the beginning of their time in Unity is Strength, were able to soften things down and moderate their views, not just through, I'm going to read, I'm going to change my mind, but through actual interactions with other people. And that is what I like the most. I could see people like Arabs from all different, sides of the Arab world. Moroccans I saw, there were some Egyptians. I don't remember seeing many Iraqis, but there were some Gulf Arabs as well, if I'm not wrong. Not just the Palestinians. We're learning much more about both sides, like about Jewish history, about Palestinian experience in other Arab countries. And there were a lot of Israelis who became naturally more empathetic to the suffering of Palestinians, realizing, hey, they're not all terrorists. Like I'm speaking to some here. They're normal people with normal desires. They want to, eat bread, drink water just the same as the rest of us. And this is the thing, no amount of reading a textbook will teach you how to swim, as the saying goes, and no amount of reading about history or political, things that are happening will teach you to actually understand the other side better than a real dialogue with them. And I think a good part of the dialogue experience we created was censoring a lot of, more aggressive comments that were directly attacking whole groups of people and these things rather than specific arguments. And I think that kept things a lot more moderate for a lot of time because we had certain policies about what you can and cannot say. If you, attack and demean a whole group of people, this is not a constructive way of dialogue. And that was immediately shut down. So I think that played a significant role in not just letting people go, unhinged in the comment section, because we all know where that goes and it's not a pretty place to be.
Now, Steve, you could probably go next, introducing yourself and talking about your experiences with the forum and other online communities.
Hi, my name is Steve Shaheen. I go by Steve Shaheen on the platform and been involved now for almost 4 years with Unity Strength as a moderator and a contributor. And in terms of my experience with the Unity Strength, I do think it does a good job in trying to moderate both sides in that it excludes all mutually exclusive claims from the Palestinian side and from the Israeli side as well, in order to build consensus around the issues that are pertinent to both sides. And as a result, it does bring in the kind of personalities from the Palestinian side that we would want to hear from, not those who are mostly keen on demonizing Israel and denying its rightful claims to historic connection to the land. And likewise, with the Israeli side, it doesn't entertain views of those who want to dismiss legitimate Palestinian grievances and also the historic claims, historic connections to the land. And further, it's also kind of a melting pot of cultures. No, America is a melting pot, but Unity Strength is a melting pot of a kind because it has folks like me who are not very much from the Middle East, and it has North Americans, Europeans, people from the MENA, the far end of the MENA, like Morocco, Algeria, and then it also has those who really have their skin in the game in Israel and Palestine, and those in the adjacent regions of Lebanon and even Yemen. So these diverse views kind of bring different nuances to discussing the issues that are concerned with this conflict. And in that sense, my experience in Unity Strength has been very enriching, challenged my own views in some ways, and also clarified others. And I hope my own contribution has also been useful. Yeah, that's it.
So, Olivia, now it's your turn to introduce yourself and explain yourself and discuss your involvement with the forum and the online communities, including WhatsApp, by the way, the private groups on WhatsApp.
Okay. Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm moderated on Quora, and it's cool to be a moderator, also kind of tricky, but it's nice to see different views.
Yes, Olivia is also one of our best contributors. She really shows a very deep level of concern for all of the people in the region, whatever cultural group they come from. And so the next question I have for each of you is, you probably want to talk about what stage of life you're in, where you've traveled to, where you might want to travel to, and what your upbringing and background are. So do you want to start, Olivia?
Sure. I am in college, and background, I used to be Christian. I used to hope that Jesus was gonna come to Israel. So I guess I was kind of a Christian Zionist. I converted to Islam about a year ago. I have a special interest in Palestine. You said travel?
Where you've been to and where you might want to go to,
Oh, okay.
especially recently or in the near future. Or if you
I
can.
I haven't gone too many places. I've gone to South America, and Canada. I want to go to Israel or Palestine. I don't think that that would be safe, though, for me, because I'm immunocompromised.
So, and also, Steve, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I already graduated from college, and I was brought up as well, that's complex. Not exactly the specific religious tradition. I was brought up in an environment that was kind of a syncretism of Roman Catholicism, traditional African animism, and Seventh-day Adventism. And went to an Anglican high school, a Pentecostal primary school, and found myself in university, which wasn't really religious affiliated. And in terms of travel, I haven't left East Africa. I've been operating within Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and interacting a bit more with Somalis from the eastern border and Ethiopians from the north. In terms of travel, Israel would be a nice place to visit. Israel-Palestine. Generally, the Levant would be a nice place to visit, including Jordan and Lebanon. And apart from that, Europe and North America as well.
So, Dylan, you're probably next.
Yeah, but I'm having a small issue. I cannot see my video at all. Can I just have a double confirmation that it's completely working?
You
Because
can see it. We can see your video.
We can see you well.
Okay,
We
as
can
long
see
as
it.
you guys can see it, then we're all good. Okay, so I don't really know where to start with this. I guess I'll start with sorry, one sec. I'm on a Mom, please close the door. Please close the thanks. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So I don't really know where to start. I guess I'm going to start with my current education and what I'm doing now. So I'm personally preparing to be a French teacher just so I can crap on friends in their own language and get paid for it. And this was greatly inspired by my work on Unity of Strength. I realized that suppressing other cultures and languages and banning them and making everyone into one single identity doesn't, work all that well. And that is why I'm against Friends, and Unity of Strength helped grow my view of that. But in terms of my background, being from Turkey, where we also do the same thing, I was brought up with Turkish nationalist ideas, and through my time on Quora, gradually came to reject them. But the whole picture didn't become clear to me until relatively recently, when I just decided to be a French teacher because, France is the one who started all of these shady ideologies with their French Revolution in 1793. They started the idea of modern nationalism as we know it, and it took me 4 years of Quora, of researching, of traveling to come to this realization. So in terms of my travels, naturally, I've been to a lot of French-speaking countries, Morocco, Lebanon, France, obviously, where I spend most of the year for my studies. Belgium, I went to Germany, Switzerland, Turkey, Egypt, America, and yeah, I think honestly that would be it. Oh yes, and the Poland and the Czech Republic. And generally speaking, I have noticed that when diversity is allowed to thrive, it can work if politics don't get too involved in it. Like in Lebanon, where there are several, diverse ethnic, cultural, religious groups, although they're having a horrific political collapse, I did find that their diversity was the reason of it. Rather, it was cronyism and bad management. But a lot of people will point to diversity and say, "Oh, we need to crush all different, languages, all different minorities, and just make a strong unitary state," which is a large part of the discourse on both sides in Israel and Palestine. And I realized this is not the way to go. This is not a constructive future to have. And since this idea started in France, I realized we may as well, cut the tree at the base. So I'm looking to be a French teacher to take down France's shady ideology from the inside, advocating against Turkey because their shady ideology doing this is not benefiting anyone either, and advocating for peace and justice in Israel and Palestine so we don't get more French and Turkish nationalist assimilation happening there on such a wide scale.
Yeah. Okay, so now, thank you. So now we can start with the introduction of Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you can talk about yourself. And
Hi,
yeah.
hi everybody. I'm Emmanuel Shachaf. I'm chairman of the Federation Movement, which is a political movement geared to create a federation in Israel-Palestine, an Israeli-Palestinian federation. One of the ways to achieve peace. I'm a moderator for Unity's Strength, and I enjoy working with younger people because they're a lot more tolerant than us oldies who are stuck in our old ways. So from youngsters, you usually get a lot of support for new ways of resolving problems. And it's good to have you guys around.
Thank you. So yeah, so now I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Rebecca Sealfan. I started Unity of Strength. So I'm actually American Jewish. My background in terms of what I learned includes biology and computer science. So sometimes I'll bring up something technical into Unity of Strength, and sometimes I'll bring up things that have to do with animals because there are times when the geopolitical dynamics of the region remind me of certain things that I've read about in animal societies. And so I enjoy talking with people from all different cultures. I grew up in New York City, and it's one of the things I love about New York City that people come from all different places, and largely, especially when I was younger, and hopefully this can still continue, that people leave their international geopolitical hang-ups behind them when they come here, and they focus on all being New Yorkers or all being members of whatever community, whatever school they're in. And I'd like to believe that some of the things that came out of those kinds of places can come back to their regions and bring peace there. I went to public high school. I went to college and grad school in or around New York City, also in North Carolina. And I started the Unity of Strength Forum because I saw the kind of dynamics on Quora that there used to be in New York City from what I remembered. And campuses in a number of other places have gotten a lot more polarized. Let's just hope that we can restore what there used to be, and at the same time, improve the well-being of Palestinians so that they can finally have equality and self-determination, if not both. And so should we have our co-hosts, Unity Made Visible and Voices of Humanity, come on? Because I do appreciate that they are here. And I do appreciate that they are here. I would like to thank them for coming as well. And they are part of the United Religions Initiative as well. The three of us, Unity of Strength, Unity Made Visible, and Voices of Humanity. They are cooperation circles of the United Religions Initiative, and we are working together on, we do work together on a number of things. So I see them now. So do they want to introduce themselves, or do they want to? So should we start with Roger introducing Voices of Humanity platform and the work we do together and have been doing for a while? You're muted. You're muted. I don't hear your voice.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Okay, it was just not plugged. All right. So Voices of Humanity, quickly, is an idea of using voting on messages to create group identities that have a voice. And I've gotten as far as creating an online forum that works. And in the midst of having an app written, I think once we have the app going, maybe we have a chance. The aim is to create a massive global set of voices of humanity, voice for men, women, children, youth rather, and also for the different age groups, and for humanity as one. So if we can get going and create a massive voice for humanity, then that will give us the strength to convince the nations to disarm, starting with nuclear weapons or including nuclear weapons. Then, once that has happened, then there's a chance that the nations can cooperate on our global goals, on our global problems, which right now they're not cooperating on, and we are in the midst of going over the cliff. So that's Voices of Humanity. For you, for Unity is Strength. I have asked Rebecca, and she has kindly set up a monthly program where we do something similar for the Israeli and Palestinian voices on UIS, where we look at how they're voting and we describe, actually, this is Steve does this to a great degree. And yeah, it's a hard one. We don't really see, of course, the kind of cooperation across the identities in this case. We would like to see much more, but there is some anyway, and so that's good.
So in my experience, what tends to work the best in terms of promoting cooperation across the identities is taking people into private groups. In private groups, the community takes on its own flavor, and there's not really as much of the question of being seen. So people are willing to discuss things across party lines that can come out. Like we recently produced a piece, Haggadah, which is the book of readings for the Jewish holiday of Passover, and piece seders that read from the Haggadah. And we had roughly equal numbers of Palestinians, Arabs, Jews, and other people from the MENA region as the authors. So we had two Palestinian editors. So that's an example of how the private groups can lead to joint collaborations. We're also some people on Unity of Strength, some of the people on this chat are in another private group where we're actually discussing a peace plan that would be a two states, two federation plan. A federation is a group of regional governments under a larger central government. So the idea would be to start out as two states, Israel and Palestine, and gradually grow a central government, much as the United States was originally a collection of states where the central government slowly grew in power. And this would all be done by vote of the people there. So those are some examples of cooperation that Unity of Strength or people involved with it are participating in across party lines. So Paul, now we can introduce Unity Made Visible if you want to.
Sure.
And you do some great work as well.
So Unity Made Visible is a cooperation circle. We're now about over 20 years old. We started Unity Made Visible just after September 11th because we found that people people with an Islamic background were being horribly abused, particularly in our local area. We are in New York, just north of New York City, and I unfortunately wound up seeing the plane hit the towers on September 11th, and New York as a whole was pretty maybe even more affected than most areas of the world by what went on because of the immediacy and so many people. I mean, the cars left in our parking lots and left there because there was no one coming back home to pick them up. And the the inability. I was on a train literally going through Manhattan when the second plane hit the Twin Tower and saw them all come down and was pushed off the train in Philadelphia because they didn't know what was happening during that time. When we got together, we said we need to be able to bring people together. I had been doing work with Seeds of Peace. For those who don't know, it's a group that brings people aged 13 to 17 together for a month to teach them coexistence sessions, people from Israel, Palestine, Egypt, Jordan, Bosnia, Serbia, Turkey, Greece, and India and Pakistan, to try and help them as people from areas of specific conflict, how they might be able to work together. And when I first encountered them, I said, this is an amazing group. What can I do? And the thing that I could do, I happen to have had a lot of time singing with Pete Seeger. And so I was able to bring some of the music, both to raise some money in fundraisers with organizing concerts, and one in particular in New York City with Pete and Tom Chapin and some other luminaries, but also bring all of us together to bring music up to the camp. And music became a very good common language as a way to get people of different backgrounds to connect. It was an incredible experience. We started doing that with Unity Made Visible as a way to bring the people of different backgrounds together. We were very active in the early 2000s. And then we had a lot of changes in the group. Some people started moving away. Some people, my wife at the time passed away in 2015. A couple other people just weren't as active, and we sort of tried to figure out how and what we would do to stay relevant and to really hold people together. And I joined Rebecca and Unity is Strength and their efforts to do a peace Haggadah, bringing music to the Haggadah and to the process, but also wanting to learn about how we can more continuously communicate electronically, because that's an effective way to bring people from various different locations together. And I think one of the advantages of this forum is to think about how technology can bring people who live in different areas together to be able to try and find common solutions. So part of what I have looked to try and do is to see how we can use different. I had never before this experienced Quora forums and had never and the volume of communication in WhatsApp groups were lost on me, because we had always done things in person. And so it's nice to learn from those who are very fluent in current technology how to do this. And so I was really quite blessed to be one of the leaders, of the first leaders who used the new Peace Haggadah, and led that Seder to try and bring people together from all over, which was a wonderful experience. So that's sort of my role with Unity Made Visible in bringing this together. And I'm hoping that the new technologies that can help us bring people together from our groups all over the world.
So thank you. Yeah, because Unity Made Visible has been doing some great work, and you've been doing some great work. And yeah. So now the next question is what are some of your high points for interfaith or intercultural dialogue, especially involving youth, meaning under 35 years old, and especially involving unity as strength? So does anyone want to answer that question? The youth probably should go first if they want to.
Can you repeat, please?
What are some of the high points you've experienced doing interfaith or intercultural dialogue, especially involving youth, meaning under 35, and giving the youth priority like you, and to answer, and especially involving unity as strength?
It's nice talking to other people who have different faiths, and learning about different faiths and how, despite having differences, there's also so many similarities.
Cool. Okay, sure, yeah. So, Tariq, we're going to let you say something and introduce yourself if you want to talk. We're going to let you say something.
Hello, everybody. Hi, how are you? How are you doing? My name is Tariq Jarrar. I'm from Jenin. I was born in Nazareth in 1980, and I grew up. I've done my schooling in Jordan, Oman. And at the age of 14, I left to the United States. I stayed for a month in California. Then I went driving with a friend to New York. I lived in New York for almost 4 years. And then I came back home. My family was in Jordan and they moved to Palestine, Jenin. And I think I'm just giving you my background. I've been involved with many peace groups, and I like the concept you guys are talking about, such as gender equality and unity is strength, and humanity, Roger, and unity is visible. What his name, Stephen?
Yeah. Unity is Strength, Voices of Humanity, and Unity Made Visible. We're the co-hosts of this event. And so...
Yeah, and so what I wanted to say is usually in every culture, there is a perception and a perspective. Let's not talk about perception because people's senses varies from one person to another. It depends on their like capacity. you know, and I think that I've been through lots of workshops where the Palestinians say what they have to say and the Israelis say what they have to say, but there's no connection between both. And I started to think what's behind the lack of connection or connectivity, you know. I know how the system in Israel works and function, but in the West Bank or Palestine, we are not that much organized, you know. It's like we are like random, you know. And even like in countries such as Egypt or Jordan or Turkey, you know, you can think that there is some sort of a system, a powerful system and a regime that people believe in. But the question is with interfaith that I should learn about the other person perspective, culture, and environment at least. And the other should learn about this three culture, environment, and perspective. And we match the perspective together, or we, as we say, I can step into your shoe, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's yeah, and that's what we do. We share our experiences, we share our perspectives, and a very large proportion of what we do is contributed and moderated by youth, like our three youth panelists. So, yeah.
No,
So
I'm even interested. I don't know much about the Israeli culture. And I've been to Tel Aviv and I've been to Israel and I have Israeli friends and I don't know anything about the Torah, you know, and I know a little about the Bible. I know for sure about my Muslim religion enough, you know. And I always have question about religions and I don't get the right answers, you know. And
yeah.
that I get some answers that are near, or for me, it's not. If I have to rate it into good, very good, and excellent, it's good only.
Yeah. So yeah, because also you've
Okay.
been on some of our private chats, and so this is
Yeah,
exactly what our venues are for. If you just ask questions, these are people who tend to be open and amenable to asking and answering questions. And so one thing that I wanted to mention about the Unity is Strength Forum as well is that it is on the website Quora. And Quora has a unique format. Quora, nowadays, it has a feature called Spaces, which are basically collaborative blogs. And so people can share links, people can share posts, people can also ask and answer questions on Spaces. But Quora originally started as a site that hosted questions people asked and answers that people might write. So the Quora community, the Quora writer community, are people who self-selected to write and answer questions. So youth are people who
I would like to do that. I would love to do that.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll give you
I would love to do that.
Yeah. So our forum, our main core forum is at unityisstrength.quora.com. That's our URL. No dashes or anything in Unity is Strength, just the words unityisstrength.quora.com. That's our URL. And so if you want to participate in that forum, that's our main public forum. Our moderators are taking a look at that. Our moderators are seeing what kinds of cross-party line discussions you can have, what kinds of multilateralist views you can have. And if you show signs of these, then what we can do is we can do a number of things. One is invite you to be a moderator if you want to. Another is invite you into private chats to continue the cross-party line discussions further. We can also invite.
How about somebody want to do both?
Yes, many people get both of them. So Olivia Lish, for example, Emmanuel, they got both of them. basically our moderators tend to be people who are active on our forum, at the very least as active contributors, and are multilateral, and we are more inclined to fast track people who are from either Israel or Palestine into moderation, because we do want the space to be maintained in large part by people from that region. And this does include the diaspora of those regions. And the fact that we are so heavily youth inclusive, well, our premise is if you have expertise and interest, we include people wherever in the world they are, as you might see. We've got youth from 3 different countries and arguably 3 different continents on this call who are moderators. And also youth tend to be people who they have informal expertise from reading, possibly from discussing things with people, and they may not have the venue to share that informal expertise, and they may have a little more time than other people do. And so they may have a little more time than other people do, and they may not be so have their social network in place. So historically, Unity of Strength at the very beginning had heavy youth involvement because youth were the people, many of the people who came over to our forum and also to our private groups. So a good number of our contributors and moderators are youth. And hopefully...
So what's your schedule? What's your schedule? How often do you meet? Like on a weekly or monthly basis?
Okay, so Unity is Strength. At this point, much of what we do is on private chats and private communities. And so if we want to have more group calls, if there's interest in that, it is something we can make happen. When the communities were younger, we had open group calls. Then people became a little more established in what they were doing, where they were going. So the open group calls sort of tapered off. The peace staters are still...
Excuse me,
What?
sorry. But you just touched about something I was thinking about.
What?
If we get 2 groups of Israelis and Palestinians, and we discuss a middle or an out-of-the-box conception for a perspective that is not within both identities, how would that sound, as like a 3-party or 3-dimension?
I think that it would be amazing. I think that it is something that, given the right specific enough idea, it is something that we could make happen. And it is something that we have made happen a number of times in the past. From the Peace Haggadah to our current peace plan that some of us are developing that is still in the works, to our book of readings and discussion questions for universities. We're writing a book.
If you have references or material to read or anything you suggest, also would be wonderful.
I would say start with our online forum and message me about the private groups, or leave a comment on this video to ask for more information about the private groups. And so, yeah. So finally, one of the things, so I also wanted to talk about our university's discussion dialogue project. We're taking what we're doing to universities. And so the idea is that people will get a book of readings and discussion questions that the universities can either organize their own workshops around, or we would have workshops. And it would include first of all, how to be an empathetic listener, ask the right questions on campus, and step in based on that. I don't think you need to have a huge amount of knowledge to be able to step in on most campus discussions. You just need to be empathetic. I did when I didn't know that much. I stepped in and also asked questions. And if you know more, there are other tools you can use, but you can just begin by asking questions and by caring about everybody in the region and on campus. And so the other things that we'd be teaching about are, first of all, history of the peoples and their interactions in the region. Second of all, also peace plans and peace groups and how to navigate social media, not just in-person interactions, but also social media. And so the goal is to transform the raising awareness of concerns that the peoples may have, which is what a lot of these protests really are, into a constructive discussion about how to make it possible.
Yeah, and how to have a voice. It's important, you know. What's like what you guys said. It's important to have a voice.
Yes, it's very important to have a voice. It's
To
very
have a voice. And
yeah.
and if we can get access to other like parties around the world, like in Colombia, Cuba, or even like in Turkey, or like in Greece, or like in Serbia, you know, political parties with radical, you know, and going to debate with them about their current issues and how their political parties or regime works. I mean,
Yes.
I've been to Serbia, UK, France, Lebanon, Egypt, Israel, Palestine, UAE, Qatar, Iran, Turkey, you know, so I've been around, you know, and I would like to give my expertise, what I've learned on the ground in Palestine, and what I learned through the a long pathology of peace discussions, you know.
That's
I would like to have an opportunity to contribute and make a difference.
Yes, amazing. And so there are places that in our community where we can direct you to. So me and other people are looking at social media and seeing what's the most constructive way for things to flow. We're monitoring the Unity of Strength core space, we're monitoring a number of other space, and we're looking for what's the most constructive way for things to flow. And so that's, yeah. And so finally, apropos of our discussion guide for universities, one question I want to ask the people on here is what type of solution do you prefer to Israel-Palestine? And we can start with Emmanuel because he has spent a very significant amount of time developing his, which is a little different and definitely opens a lot of important discussions.
The solution I propose is informed mainly by my political background in Israel and my view of the situation. And I'm a very pragmatic person, being an engineer by training. So what I propose may not be something that goes down easily with neither the Jews nor the Palestinians, but it may be the easiest to attain and the one giving the most equality in the shortest of time. So what I'm proposing is a federation between Israel and Palestine beginning with the area between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean. And then Gaza will come online after a period of adjustment, during which time Gaza will be an independent state. That mainly because of the tragic events of the October 7th where Gaza attacked Israel. And therefore it will be very difficult to have a federation with Gaza together. And this is the proposal we've been working on, the federation movement has been working on. putting creating a federation between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean, 30 cantons, 20 of them Jewish majority, 10 of them Palestinian majority, which would reflect the demography in that area, 20 to 1, 2 to 1. It would be a citizen state, binational state, citizen state of equality, of course, one man, one vote, with two chambers in the parliament, an upper chamber and the lower chamber, the lower chamber representing the population and the upper chamber representing the regional cantons. And something that I think is achievable, because right now we're already in a sort of federal arrangement, just not equitable and very problematic. So I think that's about as much as I can tell you in short. But you can look it up on the Federation movement, and there's quite a lot on the internet.
It sounds amazing. Yeah, amazing. And so, does somebody like you, Paul, do you want to talk about what Seeds of Peace has been advocating for? Okay, does somebody else want to talk about the two-state solution?
I can speak. Actually, I think that I was studying in Belgrade peace studies and conflict resolution at the University of Belgrade. And on a dinner I was asked, what you are in favor, two-state solution or one-state solution. I think that a one-state solution will unite the people, the Israelis and Palestinians, and we should be united, since our network is about being unity is strength. And I believe in that. I believe the Palestinians can contribute to the state as much as the Israelis. Or we can have, as a Palestinian, I have a Jordanian passport, and I know there's Palestinians in UAE, there's Palestinians in Egypt, there's Palestinians in Jordan, in Syria, and Lebanon. We always lived as a second citizen. And I've been always thinking what the Palestinian revolution have contributed to the Palestinian people, rather than, I don't want to attack them. I do support any legitimacy body, to be, and I support order also and organization. But the way it's going on, I have many things against the way things are happening in my homeland, that I can't share it with a Palestinian. He will say that I'm completely nuts. Now, I find an opportunity through such platforms to speak with Israelis. I've read many books about Israeli politicians, the history of Israel, and through their media. And I've read a lot of books about the Palestinian Revolution in Lebanon, and how did it happen? I'm just against violence. I believe we are like in 2024, and the Renaissance was a great example of separating the religion from state. So I believe if some Arabic states in the Middle East separate the religion from state, such as Turkey, as a good model for that, but I don't know in practice how good are they. And the question of majority and minority, how would have to be recognized? Because I think that I agree with the federation. I think the one-state solution at least will guarantee rights for all the Palestinian population, rather than to serve an interest of an elite Palestinians who are willing to benefit out of the Palestinian people without any appreciation.
Yeah. Yeah. So I also, okay, so Roger, what do you want to say? Roger, I thought you.
There I am. Yes, yes. Just really quick. I'm for I like Emmanuel's idea, but to get there, I think we have to have uh, two identities, and therefore we should start with a federal solution. And to get there, the main thing we have to do is to allow the Palestinians to have an identity within Israel. As it is now, you can't use a Palestinian flag. You can't, there's many things that disallow an identity. And so anyway, I got to go, folks. Thank you. It's been very interesting. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Roger.
Bye-bye.
I agree, of course.
So anyways, do we want to hear from some of the youth about peace plans? Olivia and Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they talked about a federation and a one-state plan. I like the two-state plan personally on the 1967, I think what it is.
It is.
Because I think that separating Gaza and the West Bank, not the Palestinians as a whole, are not going to like that. And a one state would probably be more sustainable, but a one state with how much mistrust there is between the two, it may not be possible currently. But a two-state solution I think, much more easily be done. The idea is that
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I agree with you, but like it's like we going back to the same point. It's like, how about to give no identity to the Palestinian and give them a welfare? Do you understand me? What do you think we will have a sovereignty? There's not even a sovereignty for Egypt or Saudi Arabia. You know, do you think are we going to kidding ourselves? Do you want? I'm not a graduate from Yale or Duke University, but I know the reality on the ground. I taste it every day. You know, it's the food I'm eating every day. You know, it's the bread and butter. So my point of perception is let's give the West Bank to Jordan and Gaza to Egypt and end of story. We don't want. I have a Jordanian passport before the PA was in power. I believe in the PLO, but nobody giving me a chance to speak. I see lots of politicians, big politicians. I respect system, order, and regime, but they are not speaking right, not for a concern for their own people. Israel, Egypt, and Jordan made peace, and the US are paying their military for this peace. UAE made peace, and they don't want, like, they have like a US support, but it's not based on the peace deal. That's a good example. I'm not against normalization. Let's take it to another social level. If I want to marry a lady, her country should have peace with Israel so I can get her to my land. She will never have a Palestinian ID to come inside. Now that's a marriage problem. Thank you. What's your name again? Olivia. Olivia,
Yeah.
please say something, whatever you have in your mind.
yes, my name's Olivia.
Yeah, Olivia is one of the moderators of our forum. So, as you might be able to tell, our online community, which is heavily youth-led, we are contributing to peace and justice using civil interfaith discussion as the medium. And we have a wide variety of ideas about what peace should entail, but we are working to tie these all together some of us are working together to tie these all together in private to create a initially two states, but later a federation proposal. So I would like to thank you all for attending this talk. I will stop the recording